Hi everyone. It's time for my first toe dip into the world of Rockman. Rockman, of course, being the Japanese name for the hero we all call Megaman. The original Megaman character is a robot programmed to save the world from the evil Maverick robots. Megaman X is focused on a different character with a similar look called X. X is a bit more of an android character with his own free will, battling Sigma and his band of irregulars. The reason I think Rockman X is a good candidate for video translation is because it's a little more of a Metroidvania style than the main series, and it therefore has a bit more dialogue. Not a huge amount. Unusually for Super Famicom is that it also relies on hiragana katakana script and skips kanji except for the brief intro. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, I'll provide detailed translations of any on-screen text to help guide you through how it's parsed, pronounced, and interpreted, at least by me. Learning to fluently read Japanese has been a goal of mine for a long time because I love playing Japanese games that have not been translated into English, or just enjoy their most original form. When I transcribe the original kana, I'll mark the hiragana text in white, katakana in green, and the rare kanjis in blue. That will be followed by a phonetic reading, then the literal word-for-word breakdown, and finally my interpretation of the intended meaning in natural English. Also just a note, I'm not a speedrunner or a particularly hotshot gamer, so for the sake of keeping the video time down, I've edited the gameplay to smoothly show my progression without the many deaths and wrong turns. In cases where I revisit a level to get something that wasn't possible in the first run-through, I'll put it in speed mode until we get to something new again, to aid in brevity. This playthrough is complete as far as I know. I think I picked up all the power-ups, and you can find specific levels and hidden items in the video description if you're looking for something in particular. As we're learning from this little bit of dialogue, our Dr. Light, who is the original creator of Megaman, has this secondary project that it seems he was working on, but felt it was a little too risky to go live with in his lifetime. So he's had this character X in this analysis tube for 30 years, basically looking to analyze and make sure he's safe to be released. You don't get much of an explanation on who Dr. Kane is, but my understanding is that he's discovered the research of Dr. Light and is using now the opportunity to wake up X to help defeat the evil Reploids or irregulars that are being controlled by Sigma and threatening the world. So here we have our little opening sequence before we get into all the main levels. A lot of Megaman X has this as a bit of a get to know the game phase, so we're just going to run through here and get used to our controls, the jumps, the firing, the power-up, charge, and see what's at the end of the highway here. As most Megamans, this game takes place in some unknown portion of the 21st century, which seemed a little more futuristic back in the, early 90s when this game was first produced. But as you see, it's a little futuristic with this elevated highway that's taken quite a beating from the battles that have been ongoing. And all of these evil robots continue to plague and patrol, making X's progression a little more difficult. Let's just continue along the highway here until we get to where we're going. Now we have some sort of drop ship here that's been throwing cars at me, and we seem to have a boss that has emerged. And half my life in one hit. Says this guy's pretty tough. Of course, I'm not actually meant to win this fight. He's gonna whittle me down and imprison me in this little sparkly ball. Bakame is a really rude form of address. Baka means fool or idiot, and the suffix is a derisive form of address. When Japanese use san after a name to show respect, me is very much the opposite. Now we have Zero coming to save the day. He's got a more powerful buster than I do, apparently, so he caused this guy to run away. Now Megaman's feeling down on himself. Or I shouldn't say Megaman X is feeling down on himself for his failure. Zero acknowledges that my strength is not up to snuff, but he suggests that I should go do some battling and gain new abilities. So he's gonna go and find the hideout of Sigma, and I'm gonna go and mop up the underlings and absorb their powers so that when I do that final battle, I have the strength I need to win. This is the password system of Megaman X. This little grid of numbers that you can use to save the progress, which is necessary in a game like this because you don't want to lose all those energy tanks and heart tanks and power-ups that you get from defeating these enemies. Like the original Mega Man, you can choose whichever stage you want, but there is sort of a rock, paper, scissors order to these things where the power-up you get from one guy can be used to take care of another. The little ice stage here is actually typically the first one, just because he's probably the easiest one to beat in with the X-Buster when you don't have any of the special power-ups. He's pretty weak if you do want to take out the Flame Mammoth first, but that one's a little tougher to do without the related power-up. If you've got a sharp eye, you might have noticed that the boss names are a little different in Rockman X than they are in Megaman X. This stage was called Chill Penguin for North Americans, but Icy Penguinago is the original Japanese name. Most of the bosses are similarly adapted to make them almost a little more basic, I guess, in the English version. It's very similar to Mega Man. We've got to make our way through the stage, avoiding too many of these enemies, collecting recharges for my life and for my additional weapons, of which I have none at this point. But there's no particular experience system or anything like that that requires me to grind beating enemies. The only time we ever do that is when we're trying to build up either recharging our weapons or to get more life. But I'm not gaining any long-term benefit from killing lots of enemies. Or destroying them, whatever we want to say. Now here, there is another benefit and another clue to why this is the first level. This is our first power-up capsule. So Dr. Light has left these around for X to power up various parts of his body and armor. So this particular power-up is giving me the dash ability, so he's powered up my legs. And the dash ability is obviously very important for a lot of things, but it allows me to speed through different areas and to do much, much longer jumps. It's probably the only unmissable one of these capsules. The rest of them are all quite hidden. So this is definitely intended to be the first one one encounters. Every level also has a heart container in it, and that heart container will extend my life bar permanently. And then 4 of the levels have an energy tank. The energy tank is something that goes in my inventory. If my health is full and I pick up health power-ups, it'll fill that tank, and then I can use the tank when my life is low to recharge it. Having 4 of those makes the end game substantially more manageable. I think the Megaman X series isn't quite as brutal as the original Mega Man's in terms of its difficulty level, but it is certainly not a walk in the park. It is still very much the old school, challenging Nintendo game. Every now and then, X gets to ride one of these little mechs. And while I'm in it, I'm not going to take any damage. The mech itself can. If you notice that little enemy disappearing, that was because that's one of my edit points where I have a real bad habit with this guy coming at me and making me fall down in this pit. So you kind of have to be positioned just right to make it across without him reappearing. The mechs can't jump as high as X, so you hit a barrier like that, it's over. There's also little places like this, so this is an example of where we get a bit more Metroidvania than the original Mega Man games. Those levels were very linear. In this one, that ledge is a secret. It is actually where this level's heart tank lives, but without the power-up from the Flame Mammoth, I cannot get it right now, so I didn't bother going over there. The wall jump is another thing that we can do here that you can't in Mega Man, so it is very handy. Now we get to the locked door. We've seen these ever since the original Mega Man. You know that means we're entering the boss chamber. So not an enormously long level, but here is Icy Penguin, or Chill Penguin. And I'm just going to have to try to hang out up on the wall and avoid his attacks and just whittle away his health bit by bit with some nice charged shots from my X-Blaster. Oh, so when he does that, I can't really do much about it. So far, so good. Feels like I'm giving him the worst of the battle. But he's kind of spamming with these things. I can't really shoot him when he's got those icy penguins in front of him. And if that's going to be his only attack, he's just going to have to bear with it. And might take a minute. He seems to be stuck in a cycle here of just throwing ice cubes. Ooh. I don't think I realized he could slide through those. I thought he just used his wind to blow them at me. Ooh, so close. Let's get him. There. Boom. He's done. Now that he has been destroyed, I am going to acquire his ice power. Yeah. And that also starts off the sequence. So now, one of the Reploids or Irregulars is going to have a weakness to this ice power. So that should be my next target. Alright, Spark Mandriller, which was just Spark Mandrill. Not as much of a difference as a lot of them. But he's our electrical level. But Mr. Electricity doesn't like the cold. Another kind of cool feature here is that there are some small changes that happen to some of the levels depending on which bosses you've already defeated. Not aware of any big change in this one, but particularly the flame level is much tougher before you beat the Chill Penguin, because I think given the sequence, they know that with that order, they wanted to give some benefit to having defeated the Penguin, because it sort of is where it overlaps. So if you do beat the Penguin first, you do get some benefit in the flame level because all the lavas are frozen and all that kind of stuff. But we're not at that point yet, so let's just carry on. Alright, that door closed behind me, so we are facing a mini-boss. A lot of levels do have sort of a mid-level boss. This guy actually is not very nice. He is also the result of several of those deaths that I have edited out. So this was not a first attempt win here, but this should be the victory round. Although it's not going to be very comfortable, because he's quite brutal. Alright, now that he's out of the way, I'm glad he gave me that. I will carry on. Wall jump, this would not be a very fun place to be. I do think Megaman X is a little more generous with the drops than Megaman originally was as well. Enemies will even drop 1-ups on odd occasions. If you know where to look, there's certain enemies that actually drop them quite often. And at last, here we are at the boss chamber. Maybe I'll go in with a full charge and try to smack him with one hit before he gets going. And then I can switch over to my ice cubes. Nice hit. Clings from the wires in the ceiling. I like that he can get hit by the rebound of the ice as well, and it counts. And the freeze is nice too, so it's really making him a sitting duck. That was a pretty easy victory, and he would have been pretty nasty had I not had that power. But now I get his sparks. So Mr. Armored Armadillo doesn't like the electricity. It actually makes his shield fall off, which is pretty handy because it's pretty hard to beat him with that on. And he's a pretty hyperactive boss too. So this stage has all kinds of goodies in it. We've got an energy tank, we've got a heart tank, and we've actually got one of the best places to grind for 1-ups. Because this little area here, like these little bats, you can just go back and forth and fill up your energy tanks, fill up your weapons, and there's even a guy that drops 1-ups. This guy right here. Boom. You can just wander back and forth. Oh, and there was an extra one. That one was a little more random. Those guys don't do it too often. But when you're sort of at endgame and you need to make sure you're going in to that final battle full of everything, this is the best place to come to get that all just charged up. In no time flat. Now this thing sucks a bit. Gotta keep ahead of it because it's an instant death if it catches you. In theory, you can blow it up, but it takes so many shots, and with it chasing me like this, there's just no way. If I had the head improvement, I could have actually gone up while I was up there and gotten into those, and then let the thing go by. But it didn't, it just falls pretty soon anyway. So the reason I'm going back now is because one of those power-ups I was mentioning is hidden behind where that guy came out of. So if you just march along, you would never know. But here's our first energy tank. So with that full, I now have the ability to basically double my life because I can refill it when I need to. Like every game needs a good little mine cart or mine level. Ooh, that was close. Spikes again, as always, instant death, so you don't want to fall in there. It's funny how open pit and spikes are exactly the same thing in the result, but the spikes always just feel that much more sinister. And of course the minecart's got spikes on it, so you do get hurt if you hit it. So I could have ridden that down here. But I didn't. Down we go. This one's a little different because we're going to be behind this guy this time. And this time, it's really important to spend some energy shooting at it and trying to destroy this thing as quickly as possible. Because if you don't get it in time, that happens. And then you can't actually get up to get that heart tank. Because you can't reach the ledge to jump it. So I'm going to have to come back for that. this is kind of fun, just sailing through, taking out everybody. And look at that, here we have the boss door. So as usual, the levels aren't like insanely long. They do feel like they're getting a little longer. Alright, Mr. Armadillo. See, full charge shot. Only hit him with one. Oh, bar. It would take forever. But that, however, now he's lost his armor. Ooh, and he got me. So most of the time I edit that out, but that one didn't cost me too much time. One of the other fun features here is that the weapons don't refill when you die. So if you get sort of a certain way and you've really depleted your weapon supply, you can really get toasted. Alright, third time's a charm. Otherwise, I will run out of electrical sparks, and we can't have that. I'm spamming that stuff. Feeling like better progress now. What's gonna last longer? My sparks or his health? I don't know. I might have just enough to polish him off. Ooh. Sometimes it's more satisfying when they give you a little bit of a fight. Alright, rolling shield. Mr. Launch Octopus does not love that. So I think he's our next target. But first, this is what I'm calling my little speed run. Got to go back and get that heart container because I do not have any interest in continuing with this measly little health bar. Just made it. There we go. Just a little bit more energy now. So because I've finished this level, I can just escape it. And then we don't have to spend the time going through the whole rest of the way. The items I get are saved into my inventory long term. Now we're going to attack Launch Octopus, or Launcher Octopolo. I would have to say this is probably one of the longer, more annoyingly challenging stages, at least for me, for whatever reason. There's a little mid-boss fight in this level that I hate. There's quite a few things that kind of slow it down a bit. But of course, there's also some hidden treasure, because every level has its heart container, and I'd say this is one of the more elaborately hidden ones. But at least it's gettable pretty much right away. I don't need any special abilities. These little octopus things suck. And of course, there's spikes everywhere. Alright, so these guys are super annoying. There's actually two of them. This one isn't the really sucky one. At least he was a little generous on the health there. This is the sucky one. Starts sucking you in and dragging you around with these stupid spike pits right here. Another one of my clever little bits of editing to not show you how many times he dragged me into the spikes. Because it's embarrassing. Not really. Just boring. Alright, so there's these little whirlpool things that you go up, and they're sort of annoying. They don't really do much, but they give me the chance to go up here, where I can sort of take out this big ship. So one thing it's doing is throwing those annoying little torpedoes at me, but the other thing it's doing is it's floating up on top of the surface. And I want it to not be floating up on top of the surface, for reasons that will become apparent soon. Not really sure why I did it this way, because you can actually just jump up on the deck. That's a much faster way to take it down, but is what it is, I guess. They'll die eventually. I guess this is one of the reasons why this stage feels so long, because there's 4 bosses plus this that you really do have to put a lot of firepower into. There we go. Let's just do it proper. There we go. Down, down, down. And then more down. There's more down than I could have done without it. Found the secret chamber. And what did we get in the secret chamber? But another mini-boss. This guy's vulnerable in his tail and in his head. Ooh, that was close. can't move on until I take him out. Boom! I'm gonna put the 1-up in the spikes, that's rude. But this is better than a 1-up. Alright. Time to carry on. And what am I rewarded with here? But another one of these big eel guys. But he cannot get me while I'm up here for some reason. And finally, we have the boss chamber. And this one isn't my favorite. He's a little bit hyperactive, and there's just so much stuff going on with all these stupid homing torpedoes and everything. So really the only thing I can do is take him out quickly, because some of his weapons actually block the shield ball. So he's not even not easy to hit. Might need my energy tank. Very glad I picked that up. This guy is merciless. But I got him. Absolutely no question. All right, homing torpedoes. They're a handy little weapon. Alright, I think it's time for Mr. Boomer Kuwanger, because he is not a homing torpedo fan. I think this might be one of the only ones that has completely the same name in Megaman X and Rockman X. Alright, a little bit of a steampunk gothic stage. Climb the medieval tower full of all the steam valves and everything. With these weird medieval mace guys that I kind of hate. Ooh. Can't say no to that. I really don't know how one would possibly not get hit there, because honestly, he's just unreachable unless you get right in front of him. these are fun, these little laser zapper things. If you touch the laser beam, everything shoots at you. But at some point I was like, oh, this is impossible. I'm just going to take the hits. Those guys are always fun. They're just sitting there taking a million hits, throwing these little umbrella torpedoes at me. I will take all the health ups I can get. And here we have the mandatory elevator lifting you up into spikes section, with, of course, the enemies flying at you at the same time. No one said this was going to be a fair fight. It's not too long. So now I've got to decide, can I walk over that, or do I have to jump and not hit the wall spikes? Either way. Slowly climb up here and get these. I looked inside the tower better, I think. And there's another tantalizing heart container that is pretty ungettable at the moment. I actually need the upgrade from this very boss to get it. But I guess before any of that, gotta make my way up the rest of this tower. These little propeller platforms are so fun. And here we are. It's the boss again. This weird suspended piece of tower. Here's a trippy little movement. I especially like starting in a deficit, but at least this guy does not like these torpedoes at all. They were not kidding. Now the trick is to get them to not go flying off the screen and be irretrievable. There we go. Boom. He's down. Alright, with that pesky guy out of the way, it is time to collect his boomerangs. And that is going to open up a few little treasure hunting opportunities. The nice thing about this weapon is it picks stuff up and brings it back to me. So the health ups and the weapon ups and all that kind of stuff, but also things like energy tanks and heart tanks and all that kind of stuff. Back to fast mode. We've already witnessed this level, so don't have to belabor it too much, especially this fun mini boss. Here we go. Apparently, if you're like a super genius master, you can actually manage to grab onto that platform with a special jump and get up there without the boomerangs, but I don't have 200 years to find that exact nanosecond jump, which I think probably exceeds even the control latency, so I'll do it this way, which is actually still kind of tricky, but there we go. Got it! Boom! Alright, make our way through the end. And bam! Okay, so now that we got that, let's go back and get the one we saw just before taking out that boss. So up the big tower again. And there it is. I want it. Thank you. Right, up and up and up. Perfect. Now, who is it that hates being cut up with these things? I believe it is a Mr. Chameleon. Mr. Sting Chameleon, or known as Sting Chameleon in English, of course. Now we have the forest stage, complete with little water spiders and woodcutters. And secret hidden bush guys. Yeah, it was a little unreasonable, but ooh, here we go. Another one of those secret ledges. This one is worth taking on, if I can get the slide just right. Easier said than done for the likes of me. There we go. Oh no, I'm trapped. So if you ever played the original Mega Man, there's a guy very much like this in the final stage that essentially ruined me for being able to finish that game ever. Because you have to do this for like 2 hours going back and forth while you throw stuff. This one's much simpler. But it is so hard to hit him with a charged shot. Just lucky if I can get 1 or 2 hits each jump. So, be here for a little while, but hopefully the reward is worth it. least they give us the steam here to let us know that he's starting to suffer. Finally, most tedious possible battle and my second capsule. Pretty far into the game to only get number 2, but here's my body armor upgrade, so I won't take as much damage anymore when things hit me. It's like getting the blue ring in Zelda. Now with that nice encouraging word from Dr. Light, let's take on the next little secret here. Down we go. So everything says you need the head upgrade for this, but I didn't need it. I was able to just go and bust these things up with just my leg upgrade, so I guess maybe that's a difference between Rockman and Megaman X, or there was just something funny going on. But anyway, I don't mind. I don't have to come back then. Just trying to get rid of this last piece of stupid rock. There we go. And a big flying leap, and there we go. Heart container done. Or heart tank, whatever. And with that, we can carry on. Yay, it's the mech armor again. This level's actually pretty long compared to some of the other ones. It's Homer. I can sink in this little swampy stuff. I don't think it hurts me to sink in it, but it slows me down. Guess I don't really need that. These guys keep coming. And here we go. The boss door. Alright, Mr. Chameleon. I have some little scissors waiting just for you. Just hold still while I cut you to pieces. It's almost like a homing torpedo the way that worked. That one didn't, though. I don't know what it is that makes them go up or down, but I like it when they go up. I also like that this one, if I catch it, it doesn't count as me using it up. So not every miss is a miss. So it's a little harder to hit than some of them. I suppose all the more reason to use something that's going to do some damage when you actually do get them. Like I might need an energy tank to finish this guy. Oh yeah. You thought you had me, but you don't. So once we take this guy down, I think that's about the halfway point in the game. So we'll end this video and maybe move on to video number 2 to wrap it all up. But there's definitely a lot more text in the second half for us to do the translations on. So with that, Mr. Sting Chameleon out of commission. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or get any value out of it. I hope you had fun watching. I appreciate you doing that. And stay tuned soon for the second half of Rockman X.